Imagine this, the sun rises over a vast, untamed savanna in prehistoric East Africa, millions of years ago. Towering acacia trees dot the horizon, their branches swaying in the hot wind. Herds of massive herbivores graze warily, while predators lurk in the shadows. Amid this primal chaos, a small group of upright figures moves cautiously across the golden grasslands. They're not quite like us, but they're our kin, early hominins, stepping into a world of endless challenges and transformations. What secrets do these ancient landscapes hold about our origins? How did creatures like them evolve into the thinkers, builders, and dreamers we are today? Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the epic saga of human evolution, a story etched in bones, genes, and the very earth itself. This isn't just history, it's the blueprint of who we are. Stay with me, and by the end, you'll see why our journey is far from over. Welcome to this exploration of prehistoric wonders. In this script, we'll journey through the mists of time, focusing on the raw, untamed eras when life on Earth was a brutal test of survival. We'll trace the branching paths of evolution, from the first tree-climbing primates to the fire-wielding wanderers who conquered continents. But this isn't a dry recitation of facts. I'll weave in my own analysis, drawing on the latest scientific insights to ponder what these discoveries mean for us. Did you know, for instance, that recent genetic studies from 2025 reveal humans descended from not one, but multiple ancestral populations that split and reconnected over 1 million years ago? This adds layers of complexity to our story, suggesting our evolution was more like a tangled web than a straight ladder. Let's unravel it step by step, staying grounded in those ancient worlds where every adaptation was a gamble for survival. Our tale begins in the lush, fruit-laden forests of prehistoric Africa around 60 million years ago, just after the cataclysmic asteroid wiped out the dinosaurs. The Earth was rebounding, with flowering plants exploding in diversity, creating new niches for life. Enter the primates, small, agile creatures scampering through the canopy. Picture a world of dense jungles where survival meant grasping vines and spotting ripe fruits from afar. The oldest known primate, Purgatorius, was a tiny mouse-like being unearthed from Montana's fossil beds. It climbed trees with ease, its limbs adapted for gripping. This wasn't random. As paleontologists like Jonathan Block argue, the rise of fruit-bearing plants drove this evolution. Primates developed forward-facing eyes for depth perception, essential for leaping between branches, and nails instead of claws for better hold. My take? This shift highlights evolution's opportunism. Nature doesn't plan ahead. It rewards what works in the moment. Without those fruits tempting early mammals upward, we might never have developed the dexterous hands that later crafted tools. Fast forward to about 25 million years ago, still in Africa's steaming woodlands. Here, the hominoids emerge, a group that includes our tailless ancestors. Why lose the tail? Recent research on the TBXT gene shows a mutation made it vanish, likely because it hindered balance during early attempts at walking upright. Visualize proconsul, the earliest tailless primate, swinging through the trees without that extra appendage. In a world of predators below and food above, ditching the tail allowed for better posture on the ground. But evolution isn't linear. It's a bushy tree with branches splitting off. Gibbons, our lesser ape cousins, retained incredible arm strength for brachiation, swinging like acrobats, sharing 96% of our DNA. Their trichromatic vision, like ours, lets them spot colorful fruits amid green foliage. As we broaden the view to anthropoids, including monkeys, we see over 250 species alive today, all with human-like traits, social groups, complex behaviors, and poor sense of smell compared to other mammals. Lemurs in Madagascar's isolated forests and tarsiers in Southeast Asia's night-shrouded jungles represent prosimians, the pre-monkeys. Tarsiers, with their enormous eyes and ultrasonic cries, leap 16 feet to snag insects, adaptations born from nocturnal hunts in predator-filled undergrowth. Now, let's zoom in on the hominids, our closest circle in this evolutionary tree. In prehistoric times, dense African rainforests gave way to open woodlands as climates shifted. Great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, bonobos, shared this world with emerging human-like forms. DNA tells a tale. 99% match with chimps, 98% with gorillas. Imagine a bonobo group in the Congo Basin using sign language-like gestures to communicate, or a gorilla laughing when tickled. These aren't coincidences, they're echoes of shared ancestry. Bipedalism, walking on two legs, was a game changer. It freed hands for carrying food or tools, but it started sporadically. Around 4.4 million years ago, Ardipithecus ramidus roamed Ethiopia's woodlands, occasionally standing tall to peer over grasses or wade through shallow waters. Their hip bones and long arms suggest they weren't fully committed to ground life. They still climb for safety at night. Analyzing this, I see bipedalism as a response to environmental pressures. As forests thinned due to climate drying, walking conserved energy over long distances, allowing access to scattered resources. By 3.7 to 3 million years ago, the savannas buzzed with Australopithecus afarensis, true bipeds with knees locked like ours. Ethiopia's Hadar region yielded Lucy, a 3.2-foot-tall female whose skeleton revolutionized our understanding. Picture her troop foraging, females gathering berries, males scanning for threats. Lucy's long arms hint at tree climbing, but her curved spine supported upright posture. Stone tools appear here. 3.3 million-year-old marks on Kenyan bones show sharp rocks used to butcher carcasses. Were they makers or finders? Likely the latter, scavenging kills from lions or hyenas. As omnivores, they balanced plants and meat, fueling brain growth. This era's commentary. Tool use wasn't invention yet, but opportunism. It set the stage for cognitive leaps, proving evolution favors the resourceful in harsh prehistoric landscapes. Enter Homo habilis, the, quote, handyman around 2.5 million years ago in Tanzania's Rift Valleys. These 3 to 4 foot beings crafted simple stone choppers, hacking into scavenged marrow-rich bones during food shortages. Prehistoric Africa was unforgiving. Droughts forced dietary shifts toward meat, shrinking guts and expanding brains. Paranthropus, their plant-eating cousins, went extinct as vegetation dwindled. This divergence shows evolution's ruthlessness. Specialized diets doom species when environments change. Homo habilis brain, at 600 to 700 cc, allowed planting, flaking stones into edges for cutting. They weren't hunters yet, but survivors in a world of megafauna like giant elephants. The story escalates with Homo erectus, from 1.9 million years ago, striding across expanding grasslands taller with modern body proportions. They ran long distances, pursuing prey. Imagine groups in Java or China after migrating out of Africa, crossing arid Middle Eastern deserts. Spears tipped with stones felled hippos. Dried meat sustained them. Fire's mastery, evidenced by South Africa's wonderwork cave ashes over 1 million years old, transformed everything. Cooking meat unlocked nutrients, fueling brains to 900 cc. Social bonds formed around hearths, proto-languages grunting instructions. Fire wasn't just warmth, it was a cultural spark, enabling night activities and storytelling precursors. Recent 2025 studies map Neanderthal interactions over 200,000 years, but Homo erectus pioneered global spread, adapting to diverse climates, from steamy tropics to chilly steppes. Finally, Homo sapiens emerge around 300,000 years ago in Morocco's prehistoric caves, with brains ballooning to 1,350 cc. Archaic forms gave way to modern ones by 160,000 years ago, crafting art on cave walls, abstract symbols of thought. But branches abounded. Neanderthals in icy Eurasian tundras, shorter and stockier, buried dead with care, painted and spoke. Their extinction 40,000 years ago. Climate plunges froze Europe. Limited diets couldn't adapt. Low populations, perhaps 5,000, led to inbreeding. Yet, interbreeding with sapiens left 2% DNA in many today, boosting immunity. Denisovans in Siberian caves, Homo floresiensis on Indonesian islands, the hobbits, and 2025's Homo juluensis discovery, grouping mysterious Asians, reveal a mosaic. New genetic work shows our lineage split into two groups 1.5 million years ago, reconnecting later. This complexity challenges out-of-Africa simplicity. Hybridization fueled resilience. Prehistoric times weren't solitary, overlaps sparked exchanges. Neanderthals and sapiens coexisted 5,000 years, trading tools or mates. Brain evolution? 2025 Yale studies pinpoint genetic switches differentiating us from chimps, enhancing cognition. DNA evolves faster than thought, per Utah research, in regulatory regions. A tiny Ethiopian fossil from 2025 confirms early walkers were diminutive, adapting to resource-scarce niches. To make this vivid, consider real-life echoes. Take Otzi the Iceman, frozen 5,300 years ago in the Alps. A prehistoric traveler with tattoos, tools, and a diet of ibex meat. His genome shows lactose intolerance, common then, but evolving now. Or modern Tibetans, inheriting Denisovan genes for high-altitude oxygen use, thriving where others falter. In 2024, a Kenyan herder's story went viral. Descended from lactose-tolerant lines, he credits milk for his community's strength amid droughts. Evolution in action. These tales bridge epochs, showing prehistoric adaptations persist. As our prehistoric odyssey winds down, reflect on broader roots. From tetrapods splashing in Devonian swamps, frogs to birds sharing limb structures, to vertebrates like zebrafish, 73% DNA match, used in 2025 cancer research. Eukaryotes unite us with yeast. Experiments swap genes, proving billion-year-old ancestry. Back to Luca in hydrothermal vents, 355 shared genes. Fuca from primordial soups. Stardust from supernova birthing Earth 4.5 billion years ago. Before there were names, before memory carved itself into stone, there was a late afternoon beneath the ancient forest canopy. Sunlight spilled through layers of broad leaves, dancing on the surface of a narrow stream that glided silently through the undergrowth. There, a small band of Homo sapiens paused after a long day's journey through the wilderness. The air carried the damp scent of moss, smoke, and something older, the weight of time. An old man sat hunched beside a small fire, his fingers carefully binding sinew around a sharpened spear point. His hands, calloused and slow, moved with the knowledge of generations. Nearby, a young boy, his grandson, lay curled on a bed of moss, idly striking a flint against stone. His eyes followed a flock of birds streaking across the gray sky above, curious, wide, and silent. No one spoke, but the silence was not empty. It was full. It carried the unspoken language of survival, passed not through words, but through gesture, instinct, and rhythm. The old man did not tell stories. He was the story, a vessel holding the memories of those who once chipped stone tools, feared lightning, or ran barefoot across grasslands beneath a hunting moon. From deep within the trees came the low rumble of a distant elephant herd. The old man tilted his head, listening, not just with ears, but with the part of him that remembered things he had never lived. A memory of Homo erectus crossing wide savannas, chasing horizons no one had yet named, of ancestors who wandered far from Africa through sun-scorched deserts and icebound forests, adapting, enduring, becoming. They were not alone. Along the way, they met others, Neanderthals, Denisovans, the small-bodied people of distant islands. They exchanged tools, maybe mates, maybe words. Lineages braided together, then unraveled, then rejoined again. What remained was not purity, but resilience. The boy finally drifted to sleep, his head resting on a leather pouch filled with wild berries. The old man gently laid a fur hide across the child's shoulders, then looked up. The stars were emerging, one by one. The same stars once seen by Homo habilis under the Rift Valley skies, by Neanderthals beside burial mounds, by Denisovan girls huddled in cold Siberian caves. None of them knew the word universe, but all of them had once looked up and wondered. By the fire, with the forest breathing around him, the old man closed his eyes, not to sleep, but to feel. In the child's breath, he sensed it, the long thread unbroken. Evolution, memory, and the quiet determination to keep going, always forward. The lesson? Evolution is an unending dance of adaptation, slow, relentless, connecting all life. In our changing world, embrace change. Diversity is strength. Understand this and you'll navigate tomorrow's challenges like our ancestors did the savannas. What prehistoric secret resonates with you? Share below. Thanks for joining. Keep evolving.